Okay, so my name is Jonna Häkkilä, and I come from here, from the University of Oulu, where I work at the Center for Internet Excellence, leading a user experience research team over there. And I have industrial background actually, so I worked for more than 10 years in Nokia, both at the business unit side and then at the Nokia Research Center. And now being at the academia, been there for almost for a full year now. I still have a docentship. Okay. So I'm talking about the smart cities. Smart cities and the user-centric design of smart cities. And okay, this is what you get if you put smart cities to the Google search and take the image search. So as you can see, it's like half of it is something really futuristic, some futuristic designs or snapshots what it could look like, and half of them are sort of like flow charts or something like conceptual charts, what it could mean. And so today's keywords with the smart cities, they tend to be about infrastructure and instrumentation. So setting up something citywide, infrastructure such as hotspots for connectivity, instrumentation, different kind of sensors. For instance, here we have an example of sensors measuring air pollution. And the smart cities tend to be driven, or smart city scenarios tend to be driven by efficiency, automation, and then recently sustainability, and a little bit surprisingly maybe open innovation. So there seems to be some research and some initiatives around open innovation and utilizing the city as an open innovation platform. Okay, and this efficiency and automation and these kind of things, they tend to be a little bit like money-driven and also business-driven things. So there's not very much about users or citizens or community if you look at just the general trends, what are the discussions around smart cities. So technical roadmaps exist, but do we know what we design for? So smart cities, like are they smart cities? Like there's actually two pictures of our earlier research at Nokia. And okay, one picture from India, one picture from Finland. Guess which one is which. So are they smart cities? Probably yes, because it's a sort of general trend that in the future, every city should be a smart city. They are not yet, but we should really, when we think about smart cities in the future, also think about the culture around, culture what the cities and other environment what the city is built around. So good questions to ask, like why do we need smart cities altogether? And why would they be better than the old cities which are not so smart? And we should investigate the current practices, like what do people actually do in the city and what is lacking overall in this experience. And also not just what is missing at the moment, but what is at the moment badly accessible or which is not usable. And okay, this is where the user-centric design should help. And basically, user-centric design process, it means involving users in all phases of the design. So I'm starting typically from the user research, looking at the end user needs, then doing the concepting and maybe having participatory design and brainstorming with users. Then in the actual design phase, doing usability checks, doing validation with users. And then I would like to have a look a few methods from the user-centric design process. So there's probably, I guess, maybe half of the audience is somehow from the HCI or human-computer interaction user-centric design field. But maybe this is something helpful for people coming especially from from the technical side. So there exists lots of different user research methods. And when doing this user research, basically you should be able to select the most appropriate method for the purpose. But when we are talking about something which is futuristic, something where we don't exactly know where we go, we should probably combine different complementing research methods. And of course, there are different methods for different phases of the design process. Okay, so field interviews. This is like good old method. And I'm actually very much in favor of doing interviews and doing interviews in the context. So for instance, in the city, looking at smart cities. And rather than doing interviews just anywhere, you can, when you are in the context, you can really take into account maybe the restrictions which are in the context, like for instance, doing something in the field, in the smart city, and then it starts raining, okay? That's part of being in the smart city. You really capture something about the context in there. And also it helps the user or the potential user or the person from the target group. It helps him or her to think of the ideas. Like when you isolate the interview situation from the actual context of use, you probably lose some of the granularity. But to complement this, we also have, of course, the online studies or utilizing internet for user research. And basically surveys are the most common example in here. But there are also a trend for doing more complex than just interviews, more complex studies online. And for instance, here in Oulu we have this Patio platform. It's a web portal where you can actually set up not only surveys, but you can actually engage users for chats or discussions, or you can distribute them more different types of materials. And of course, these portals are good for recruiting people for user studies, because when you develop something, you hopefully want to have people from the target group who you are aiming for in the design. And that typically means that, okay, you maybe contact to 300 people, and then you screen them, and then you get like 50 people who would match to the criteria you look for. And then out of those 50 people, you maybe, if you're lucky, you can find like 20 people who actually match to your schedule of research. So we really, in user research, we really need to involve masses of people also for that sense. Then, instead of just doing online research, like on people's PCs or laptops at home, we can utilize the public displays for collecting data. And this is also a nice thing, especially in the context of a city, because the displays, like over here in Oulu, they are in the city, and then you can include the contextual factor in there. Then another setup, a little bit more complex, is to utilize these cave immersive environments. So these cave environments, as you probably all know, they are these sort of like rooms where you have projection, you have display everywhere. So typically 3 walls, maybe a ceiling, maybe a floor. And by wearing data glasses, you can really create 3D immersive environments there. And these environments, okay, they are a little bit rare, a little bit complex to use, but they can provide really nice environment if you want to look for instance, architectural plans or city planning, and have maybe a discussion for a small group of potential users there. And then yet another method which is quite widely used in user research is these diary studies. So when you want to engage or when you want to collect data from a user, not only for the instant of doing an interview, but you want to have like capture the everyday information over a longer period, you can organize these diary studies where people are self-reporting and collecting data. And from that, you can actually get pretty rich data. And I have an example here of a study we just ran this winter. So we had 12 households participating, and it was a diary study, also included some like cultural probes inspired parts in there. So what you give the users, or what you give the participants is a bag of lo-fi prototyping materials, such as cardboards and maybe different wires and boxes and things like that. And people could use them for brainstorming ideas. And what it actually resulted, so we had these 12 households and for 1 week. And we got lots of annotations, we got annotated maps, over 120 photos, over 150 concept ideas, and positive and negative user perceptions. So that gives a picture like how rich data we are dealing with. Then I would like to present a couple of examples about the current research we are doing. And this is, since coming from the user experience side and user-centric design side and having a team there, so this is based on like heavy user involvement in the research. So one concept what we've been working on is this utilizing a digital city as a community creativity platform. So we had this workshop with the Oulu International School, and what we did is to ask the school children to select a spot in the city scene and then create something for that, like do a drawing for that. And then we integrated them to the Oulu digital landscape. And we were quite surprised that it actually did work very well, and the children were really enthusiastic. And to describe their motivation, it was more motivating, because we organized this as a, like, we curated the drawings, and we gave small prizes for the winners who were curated as the best ones with their drawings. So, but the actual thing was that we observed that when running this workshop, that the children were more motivated about like having their drawing to be presented to lots of people and having their drawing to be seen by all these people. And that was more important for them than driving for the winning drawing. So I think this is something which is really interesting. So if we can utilize the smart city concept for something which really engages people and for creative activities. Then another concept which has emerged from the user studies what we have is the concept of having your public digital window. So actually, this is matching the physical and digital space of the ownership. So if you have, or when you have your home, and its presentation in the digital world, you could use your window to present information what you like for public. So use it as a public notice board. And interestingly, this seems to be an engaging idea. And interestingly, there's not just the informative notes what people came up, but it's very much about like having decorations in the digital world and presenting, for instance, season's greetings in that platform. And then we also have been working on with the idea of having a city communication platform in the mixed reality for like as a smart city aspect. So when doing this research on mixed reality, we have gained findings from the user studies that actually the communication what people could do through this mixed reality platform, like there's lots of indications that people were actually not so, like people didn't really see the point to communicate with each other that much. But then on the other hand, what it could be used for, this mixed reality platform, is to communicate between the citizens and the city authorities, or citizens and some public service. And if you find something you want to complain about in the city, for instance, then you typically think of it when you are in the city, in the place, like, oh, I wish that there was a bus stop here, or I wish that somebody finally painted that house because it's so ugly. And you want to give that feedback in situ right now. And you probably are not, you don't want to go home and then like open some form which already maybe exists to give feedback. But that's just like too complicated process, and it isolates the need of giving the feedback from the context where you are. So actually building a platform where you could give feedback right now in the situ is found pretty engaging. And as a final example, we've also been exploring a little bit about like visualizing, doing social visualizations of a physical activity. So when you do some exercise, you could visualize them on a common platform where you get the social, also the social and comparative aspect for your performance. So to conclude, okay, I actually do have physics background, so I want to bring Sir Isaac Newton here. So what are good ideas to research? And if we look at Isaac Newton, who lived in the 17th century, basically, he did his groundbreaking research in the laws of mechanics and optics, but he also did a significant amount of work in alchemy. And looking from, like, retrospectively looking where he did his impact was, of course, on the foundations of the modern physics, if we look at, like, the mechanics side. But when he was working, he was as seriously engaged in also these alchemistic activities. And so, really, when we are working on a problem, we probably don't have a clue, like, where is the breakthrough going to come from? And what I strongly believe is that by involving users in the process, we can actually drive towards the right direction. So we are closer in asking the right questions, what we should research for. We can find the underlying needs and design drivers. And then we can validate and we can abandon the bad ideas, hopefully earlier, not using too many years on those. And we can shape the potentially good ideas and hopefully make them better. And also we can engage the future audience. Like, if they feel that they have been part of the design, they are more motivated also to try out the technology later on. Okay, thank you.